So Elon Musk warns Federal Reserve may face a Doge audit. Okay, Elon Musk is wanting to go after Federal Reserve next. He signaled that the Federal Reserve could face an audit by Doge, stating all aspects of the government must be fully transparent and accountable to the people, no exceptions, including, if not especially, the Federal Reserve. Musk has long criticized the central bank, calling its workforce bloated and questioning its monetary policy decisions. Musk previously claimed that the Fed has a crazy high number of employees and criticized its handling of interest rates, stating in August that the Fed needs to drop rates and has been foolish not to have done so already. The Federal Reserve later cut rates in September, followed by additional cuts in November and December. Fed Chair Jerome Powell dismissed Musk's claim that the central bank is absurdly overstaffed, stating, "We run a very careful budget process and we're fully aware we owe that to the public, and we believe we do that." Rob, I think you got a clip of Jerome Powell, if you don't mind playing. Here's Jerome Powell.
Would you say that the Fed is overstaffed?
No, I would say that, overworked, maybe not overstaffed. Everybody at the Fed works really hard. It's a place where people work.
And a lot of this conversation right now about staffing numbers at different departments and agencies, it's going back to this sense of the taxpayer dollar, in terms of accountability there. But I guess I just want to ask you, is the Fed paid for by the taxpayer dollars? Can you explain to us what the burden is on the taxpayer?
So we're self-funding through our large balance sheet.
So when it comes to the staffing at the Federal Reserve, not coming from the taxpayers, is that right?
Indirectly, we give away all of our profits. We give back to Treasury, and those profits would be higher if we didn't pay for the Fed. So in fairness, it's ultimately paid for by,
what does that mean?
Taxpayer.
Yeah, what are they talking about?
In that sense, we're self-funded.
Self-funded.
Yeah.
Just one last question here. You talked about the different actors that are involved when it comes to levying tariffs in terms of paying that the exporter, the importer, the consumer. You said middlemen could be part of that. I guess I just wanted to ask you, do you know of any way in which to 100% guarantee that the consumers will not have to pay higher costs when it comes to tariffs?
Not really. It's not going to be easy to identify with any accuracy exactly where costs do fall, but I think it'd be hard to guarantee any particular outcome. I think we're just going to have to see.
Great, thank you.
Got it. So, by the way, the Federal Reserve has roughly 23,974 employees, and their operations are primarily funded by the interest they make off the securities they own. Okay, so that's kind of what he's talking about, where the additional money is being sent back to the Treasury. But Adam, your thoughts on this story?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that Jerome Powell and Trump have had a long-standing beef. I believe that Trump, when he was in his first term in 2016-17, he would basically demand that Jerome Powell would lower the interest rates. Jerome Powell wouldn't do it. It was sort of immune from Trump's criticism. I believe Jerome Powell's tenure at the Fed is up in 2026. Like, Trump appointed him, I believe, in 2016, and can you believe it's in 10 years later? And I think his term is coming up. But look, I think overall, if you had to give a grade to what Jerome Powell has done, I would say B+, A-. I would not say that he's done a bad job. The whole premise is the Fed should be immune from presidential directives and basically if Trump might feel a certain way and then all of a sudden he feels a certain way the next day, he's sort of holding down a steady ship, and I think he's doing a pretty decent job. We've gone through COVID. What's inflation at this point?
What do you think about Elon talking about accountability?
So as far as Elon goes, you know who can get it? Anybody can get it. I feel like every single institution, every single part of government should not be immune from going through this. You know how Santa has his list, his naughty and nice list, and he's checking his list and he's checking it twice. Every single part of government should be checked and double-checked line by line.
And what if they're independent and taxpayers are not paying for it? What if there's a level of independence? Tom, do you think Doge has the jurisdiction to audit Federal Reserve, or do you think that's a little bit of, because of the way the money is being made, it's got to be a different level of accountability?
Well, I think Doge has the authority. And a lot of people say, well, Federal Reserve is really the fourth branch of government and they're somewhat autonomous. I mean, we've heard that dating back forever. Well, when Jerome Powell says, I think we run a very efficient operation, I think people are working very hard. Okay, maybe that's true. That's okay. Let's say it's true. But the best-run public companies still, by law, have to have an audit every year. Mm-hmm. If you're on the stock market, you have to have an audit. You have to publish your quarterly reports. And even the best-run public companies find opportunities to improve. So the don't bother me part of this, and that's not exactly what he's saying, but it is what he means, is I disagree with very strongly. I think Doge has the ability to audit, and I think they should audit. Even the most best-run companies have an audit every year, so why shouldn't the Federal Reserve, especially with 23,000 employees? And by the way, I'd like to say something about what Powell said. Did you hear him at the end? He said, well, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where costs in the economy come from. Sure. You hear that? Yeah. Yet there's headlines out there saying Trump is causing inflation. So boy, maybe Jen Psaki should go work for the Fed. Apparently she's figured it out. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Fed themselves is saying, man, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where these costs are coming from. It's a little early. So, I think Doge has the authority, and I think they should.
Didn't we just show a video on Tuesday of Ben Bernanke not knowing where $500 billion went?
Yep.
And wasn't he the chairman of the Fed right before Janet Yellen, who was the chairman of the Fed right before Jerome Powell? So, listen, the whole premise of the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, is accountability, and open up your books. Show me your books.
I'm just trying to see, Rob, can you do me a favor? Go on Google, or do you have ChatGPT if you got it?
Yep.
Go on that and ask the question, does Doge have the jurisdiction to audit the Federal Reserve? Does Doge have the jurisdiction to audit the Federal Reserve?
Rob, you're a fantastic typer, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Okay, zoom in a little bit. No. Doge does not have the jurisdiction. Federal Reserve independently enter U.S. government, and its audit primarily conducted by the GAO, Government Accountability Office, which can audit certain aspects of the Fed, but it is restricted from auditing monetary policy. The Federal Reserve's own Inspector General, IG, who conducts the internal audit, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
External independent auditors who review the financial statements. Okay, so wouldn't Doge be an external, well, independent is what it is, of the Federal Reserve? It is independent of the Federal Reserve. If you mean Doge in reference to something else like, no, I'm talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. Okay,
who do you
so
think
then who does GAO, the Government Accountability Office, who has that? Who controls, who does GAO report to? Who does GAO report to? The Government Accountability Office reports directly to Congress. Yeah. GAO is independent, nonpartisan. Congress agency, but sometimes it's control of the United States, who leads the GAO president 15-year. Okay, so then, by the way, no, the only reason I'm looking at this is because I want that to happen.
Me
I'd
too.
like to see it. But you need to go through, I remember when Vivek was first getting started, he was saying, oh, a lot of this stuff that we can't do ourselves, that we have to go through Congress. This is what Vivek was talking about, that they're going to need some of these areas. They need Congress's help to be able to do that. Tom, am I spot on? Am I on track here with what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, you know, there's something that impresses me here, and I'm gonna throw a golden thank you in your direction. You were always trying to educate everyone at PHP at the big conferences. You would have people that would come in from different things. We had, politicians came in and talk. It was Santorum came there one year, but the year before you had a Comptroller General of the United States, David Walker came and talked. And so you've tried to educate this. But the way I read this is David Walker, is appointed by the president. So in other words, Congress, the GAO may report to Congress, but the comptroller is appointed by the president. That's what it just said there, right? So there's like the check and balance of our government, right? That, okay, Congress will, is the power of the purse, and the GAO reports to Congress, but over here, the president will appoint the comptroller general who leads it, and that's part of our checks and balances. So I think when you peel this back, there is purview for Doge on the Federal Reserve. It may not be literal, you report to me, but I think there's a clear path here for auditing.
But I don't think it can go through Doge, is what I'm trying to say. I think there's a part of it, where for Elon is, and he's pulling it off right now, working with Trump, is, okay, there's certain things as a doer that you're going to get done because you control it and you trust your instincts, right? Trusting your instincts and intuition, most people don't have a high score on that. Instincts and intuition, great. This area, even if it's high instinct, high intuition, you still need Congress. you're going to need to go sell Congress on this idea. And I don't know what percentage you need. I don't know how it's going to work out to be able to get it done. But I would want to do an audit and find out what's going on with Federal Reserve. Let me give you the big announcement. March 4th, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., put it in your calendar. We're announcing a massive upgrade to Minnect. If you have not yet downloaded the app and used it, for some of you that are using the app, you know we're communicating on a regular basis. How much business is being done? A guy Minnects me 6 months ago saying, Pat, I want to go out there and become a professional sports owner one day. I said, hey, man, keep dreaming. That's good. I used to dream as well. He says, no. I'd like to do that now. I said, what kind of money you got? Do you have cash? He says, I'm sitting on $100 million. My net worth's at $300 million. I said, let me introduce you to my guy. Introduce him to the guy. 6 months later, he becomes a professional sports owner of the team that he wanted to get. And that was all because of Minnect. These are contacts, relationships that happen on Minnect. But on the 4th, we're introducing something called the circle economy. So imagine all of you that are watching this, all of you that are curious about the stories, that like debate, that like these discussions, but you want to be able to communicate with the entire community of PBD Podcasts in a circle. Like you get to say, did you see this? Did you see that throughout the entire day? That'll be launched, and you'll get access to our notes that we're having on the podcast that we go through. Only people on the circles will have that. You'll get it behind-the-scenes stuff that we do, and you'll get a chance to create your own circle, get compensated, will be recognized and rewarding. And on top of that, I'm announcing a contest. On that day, folks, every year, we got the biggest suite at the Kentucky Derby. Ooh. We were there last year. Oh. I took my kids. Dylan was going around spending time with everybody, making bets. It was a hilarious
Spending
time.
My money, too.
Spending and making money.
Making money.
But it was a good time.
Dylan the bookie.
We had a phenomenal time. We have the biggest suite on the 5th floor. Right at the finish, when the race ends, they call it the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. And we want to invite you to come and join us. These are not $5,000 seats. These are not $10,000 seats. But we want to invite you to come and join us, and it's a contest tied to Minnect. Whatever you do, download the app. More importantly, get on your calendar, put it in there for March 4th, and go to this website that we have here, Rob, vtwebinar.com. Go to vtwebinar.com. Sign up now. This will be packed, and we'll be making a lot of announcements. A lot of unique people will be on there talking about their circles as well. So having said that, cannot wait to see you guys March 4th, 3 p.m. Go to vtwebinar.com. Register, secure your spot, because it will be a massive, especially for those of you that watch PBD Podcasts. Look forward to seeing you there. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.